Hi, welcome to the Spiritual Connection Show. I'm your host, Katie Augustyn. So, I'm a spiritual transformation leader here at the Transformation Center CT in Westport, Connecticut. I'm also a shamanic practitioner and I'm a transformation coach. I do lots of different things. And here at the center, we also offer a variety of trainings, workshops, classes. We're now offering most of our stuff online because of the pandemic. So we're having our shamanic clinic now online once a month on Zoom. We have our satsang once a month on Zoom. So just check it out. I'm going to put up the contact info. So if you're interested, you can check it out on the website, at Transformation Center CT. So here's the information. You can contact us at that URL or email address or phone if you're interested in finding out more. Okay, so thank you. Yeah, and as a spiritual connection show, those of you who have not seen it, a little bit about it. So it's really all about connection. So every time I interview a guest, you can learn about their spiritual journey, what they're about, what they have to offer, and learn something about yourself in the process. Because it's all about connecting with each other, as well as connecting with our own spiritual selves. So welcome to the show, and I hope you learn a lot from my guest today, who is Janet Morris. So welcome to the show, Janet.
Thank you, Katie. I appreciate being here so much today.
Yeah, I'm so happy to have you. Janet and I, as it turned out, we knew each other like 20 years ago. I think we determined that's what it was. And we recently reconnected because we're kind of in the same, area of life now and business and everything else that we're offering to people. So I'm really happy we were able to reconnect. And I'm just going to read a little bit about Janet for those who don't know you, and then we can get started. So Janet is a life coach who works with women to optimize their health, nutrition, and wellness to be their best, unstressed selves without expensive supplements, surgeries, or crazy diets. Through her compassionate change coaching program and practice, she believes in guiding you through this journey one manageable step at a time. And we're going to hear more about that in a few minutes. And she's also a graduate of the Health Coach Institute's Become a Health Coach program. And that's accredited by the ICF, the International Coach Federation. And she's also working on additional certifications in nutrition. So that sounds terrific. She's the author of several books, guided journals, workshops, and study guides that are all uplifting and give voice to women's inner passions and empowerment. So I'm going to show Janet's contact info on her website right now before we get started. So you can check that out yourself. And here we go. So this is her Compassionate Change Coaching program. This is like a little update of her business card. So that's her URL at the bottom, compassionatechangecoaching.com. Okay, and you can reach her that way. So great. All right. So again, welcome to the show, Janet. And the first question I always like to ask my guest is, tell us a little bit about your spiritual journey, how you got started, anything you want to share along those lines.
Okay, great. Well, my journey is all about the mind-body connection and how I never knew how strong that mind-body connection was, at the beginning of my journey. When I was 11 years old, I had a panic attack when I got up to do a speech in a class, and it felt horrible. And it set me up for years of avoidance because I didn't like how panic and anxiety felt. So I started to avoid more and more and more. And, I did get through school and college and work, and I became a textile designer. But through those years, I had many, many, many health issues. I had 15 major operations for different things. And I would go to doctors during that time, especially specialists for certain parts of, my body, whatever. Mm-hmm. And I would say, is there a connection between, my wrist and my knee and my hip? And surprisingly, back then, the doctor said, no, there is no connection. And I'd be like, really? There's got to be a connection. And if I knew there was a connection, maybe I could do something about it. And they would say, no, it's just bad luck. So it was years of that. And so I went on to design and textiles, and I decided to face my fear because something inside of me was saying that, maybe it had to do with the anxiety and the panic and the avoidance and all that. So I did, I went to see a couple of coaches. Coaches were new back then, who helped me in some of the areas and worked with me and gave me some confidence and some skills. And I joined Toastmasters, and I started expressing myself in my voice and also in writing. And that's when I did all of the writing that I did. And surprisingly, I didn't have a lot of health issues during that time. And I stayed out of doctor's offices, and I didn't have operations. I mean, amazing. But life goes on, and I got divorced. I needed to raise my kids. I needed to focus on my job to make more money to raise my kids. And so I went into textiles more. I had an advanced job as a vice president of design, and I gave up on the speaking, the writing, different things like that. Even though I was in a creative area, I wasn't using the voice, and my anxiety started to take over again. And fast forward a little bit further, my ex-husband died of multiple sclerosis. My mother died of Alzheimer's. I had to get my hip replaced. I had IBS, and I had all kinds of issues. And I started going to look for the answers again. And still, medical doctors basically said, there's no connection. And so I went the Ayurvedic route, and I gave it a good 18 months with supplements and all these different things, and got a little bit better, but then I didn't. And so a little time passed, and I went to a naturopath. And again, it was a lot of supplements and a lot of different, cupping and acupuncture and all kinds of different things, but it wasn't helping me. And I still was sick, and time went on, and I actually lost my job. The company I worked for went out of business. And now anxiety was really filling my body, and I was terrified for what was going to happen. And in succession, at that point, I got vertigo and IBS and SIBO and UTIs and joint pains and panic attacks and so many other things, so many other initial things, that I just was like, I don't know what to do. So again, I thought, I'm still looking for answers outside of me. And I went to a functional medicine doctor. And that doctor gave me all kinds of antimicrobials, and was trying to do certain things with those, which made me very ill. And I kept going back and saying, but isn't there a connection between this and this and this? And he said, you're looking for one answer, one thing, and you think that that one thing will be the cure. And that's not going to happen. And I'm not a magician. And it hit me very strongly when he said, I'm not a magician. That no, he's not a magician. And neither am I. But if anyone's going to find the answers to this, it will be me, not outside of me. So I started to really research mind-body connections. And, there's an amazing book by Bessel van der Kolk about the body. The body keeps the score. And it's an amazing book. And that wasn't written until 2014. So, up until that point, there wasn't all this information that's out there now. But I decided to go gluten-free, dairy-free, and alcohol-free. And I started walking at the beach every day and doing exercise and doing core exercise and weight training. And, the walking at the beach was great for my mind and my body. Not surprisingly, I lost over 25 pounds. That was another issue all through the years. I couldn't lose any weight. So I lost 25 pounds and I cured my eczema. And I started to feel better, sleep better. And I decided to become a health and life coach to learn more information for myself first. Mm-hmm. And once I had that information for myself, I felt like I could really help other people. And it's been, an amazing journey. I've also cut out additives and sugars and all kinds of things to simplify what I eat and to eat clean, and also to find my voice. And, through my finding my voice, hopefully help other people to find their voice and to get healthy. And so that's kind of what I'm all about. And I think because I've walked in this path and this journey, that, with compassion and with empathy and with the knowledge that I have, I can help other people to walk through their journeys too.
Yeah. Wow. That's such an amazing story, Janet. You, in a way, you did find the magic, because that's what it takes is,
right. Yeah.
Starting that process yourself and having, it's a support system that's available to us that you somehow tapped into, that you were able to find. It sounds like.
And I think with a lot of us, we kind of know inside what we need to do, but we don't always do it, until it gets to the point where, it's like a light goes off and you go, wait a second, I kind of knew all along, but all these years have gone by and I didn't do anything. But that's okay. I mean, because once you get that realization and you go for it, it's great.
Right, and things do happen when we're ready, and you did depend on yourself, and you found the answers that you were searching for. And to me, it's like you're the perfect example. You're a walking testimony to how it works. I mean, if I couldn't, created this example better than you did, and you lived it, and unfortunately you did go through some rough times and some painful experiences, health and everything.
Right.
Now you can take that, like you said, and use what you learned to help other people. So I think that's fabulous. And it's, and I think we do have a lot in common in that regard. I mean, everybody that's in the healing arts or healing profession, right?
I think so. I have found that with the people that I've met through the programs that I've been in and the coach community that I'm in now, and you included, there was a reason why we all decided to do this. There's something that compelled us, whether it was something that happened that we walked through in our lives, or something that we noticed that needs help, or, that people might be drawn to talk to us for some reason, that, they kind of know that we might have some information or some compassion or some ability to help them. And it kind of makes, a great coach community.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. It's very supportive that way, and to know that you're able to help somebody else basically by allowing them to tap into their own healing energy and healing ability. That's
Absolutely.
What we're like facilitators in that regard, right? So that's
absolutely.
Yeah, well, I want to ask you one question I'm more curious about. You talked about this Finding Your Voice program that you started, and you said you sometimes ask the question, what are you avoiding in your life, or something like that? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes. So I had done this program, in that in-between time where I worked with people, mostly with fear of public speaking. And at that time, it was really focused into public speaking skills. So what I've developed now in taking that program into the coaching area is that I want to work with people, especially women, who are not expressing themselves. So it might not be, I do help people who want public speaking skills and want the tools to get up and do a great presentation and things like that. And I have a lot of information to help people through that. But even more so, I'd like to help people who maybe aren't speaking up in their relationships. Maybe they're not speaking up to their friends, especially today. You know, it's very difficult to express yourself and feel confident that you can have a voice. And, you know, sometimes it's at work. You know, there's a promotion. You're afraid to go for it because what does it mean? You know, I will have to speak up. I will have to show myself. I won't be invisible anymore. And so what is it costing you to not speak up? You know, sometimes it's your voice in a relationship, and sometimes it's a job promotion. Sometimes it's, you know, getting your words out there to a large group of people or a small group of people. But from my journey, knowing that by holding in your voice and not expressing yourself, a lot of things can happen, including physical symptoms and a lot of pain. And the other part of it is, because I also deal with health and nutrition, is, you know, quite often people stuff food in when they're stuffing down their words. And there's a strong connection between, you know, having something to say and wanting to express yourself and not being able to do it, and then reaching for that food that's over there to get that kind of comfort or satisfaction. So, you know, we kind of tackle all of those areas. And again, because I have lived through it and I have gone through the journey, I'm very understanding and can work with somebody in manageable steps to get to a goal where they can have a voice again.
Yeah, that's really important. You know, and I hadn't even really put that together, the connection about, you know, eating and stuffing your voice. That's really interesting. Yeah.
I think, you know, that was something that I did. And then there's another thing that has this connection, and this is really interesting about how we eat. So when we're talking about food and, you know, what we eat and when we eat, but a huge thing with that is how we eat. And if we eat in a stressed situation, like if you're constantly in a low grade stress, panic situation or anxiety situation, you know, your sympathetic nervous system has kicked in. And when the sympathetic nervous system kicks in, it shuts off your digestion. So if you're eating on the run and in stress and holding in your voice and you're not expressing yourself, well, there's no surprise that you're putting on weight and holding on to weight and gaining weight, because the whole system is not working correctly. Your digestion is shut off. And so that's, you know, another whole part of it is to kind of deal with the anxiety and the stress. And, you know, surprisingly, sometimes the weight releases and comes off just by changing those little habits.
Wow, that's amazing. So when you work with people, you obviously do it in a holistic manner, even though they might come to you, they think they have like one issue they want to explore, and then it turns out there's so many others because it's all connected, like you discovered. you knew.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as you were saying before about what coaches do, it's all about asking the right questions. You know, we don't always, and mostly, and we don't have the answers, you know, and quite often our client has the answers, but it's kind of hidden or, underneath things, or they just haven't expressed it. But we do ask the right questions, and kind of draw it out and work with someone to, kind of facilitate them having the answers.
Right, right. And it all starts with our listening skills, obviously.
Yes.
Yeah, I bet you learned a lot about that in coaching, and also, the whole judgment-free zone, where obviously no judgment, no, and the way I was taught is like coaches, yeah, we don't have the answers, and furthermore, we don't give advice.
Right, right, right. And that's also been, a reason why I like to say that someone should go to a coach, because their doctor is giving them their diagnosis. Their therapist, let's say, is giving them the information they need. But there are times when they get that diagnosis and they find out they have to lose weight, or they find out that they have to start exercising. And then the doctor says, okay, and I'll see you in 6 months. Mm. And then they don't know what to do. They can research on the internet now to say, well, maybe I should do this or that, or maybe they know already what they should do, but it doesn't mean that they'll do it. And so by going to a coach who says, okay, this is what you're, asking, what did your doctor tell you, and what, you need to do this and you need to do that. Okay, now let's talk about, why do you want to do it? And how will your life change when you do it? And how will you benefit from that? And let's talk about the steps that we can go through to get you to that successful goal.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. And then, of course, the accountability factor is always good, where we can hold them accountable because they want to be held accountable.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think, there was a period of time when I wasn't being held to that. I was doing what I had to do to survive, to work, to make money, for my kids, and do all these things. But I didn't still have that piece of having my voice, and I wasn't seeing a coach at the time, and I didn't have that accountability. And so it was, a period of time that was very difficult, and so I definitely do see the benefit of working with a coach. And I actually still work with coaches, and I have a coach community that, we work with each other, and we hold each other accountable, and we lift each other up, just like a coach does for their client, because one of the most important things to do as a coach is to have the belief that your client will succeed, even when they don't think that they can, to just hold that belief for them and be that cheerleader, and be the person that is, kind of being motivating and positive for them. And then also maybe giving a little kick in the butt when they need it to get back on track or whatever. But, again, my style is to do it in a low key, again, a compassionate way. So that's just who I am.
Yeah, no, I can totally see that, that would be your manner, and it would be very, very empowering for people, yet you're holding them accountable. It's a great combination, And I think, the part about that you mentioned about working in manageable steps, is also a part of your practice, right?
Yeah, I have, a story about that. And years ago, when I was doing that, work on myself, I actually had a friend that I met at Toastmasters who became a coach. This is way back when it was just starting, so I really didn't even know what a coach was. And he gave me one of the most important tasks to do that I still hold very dear to my heart. And he told me that I needed to read the book Bird by Bird by Anne Lamott. And the book is really about writing and how to get yourself, on a path of writing every day. And she talks about it in manageable steps, but it's also life lessons. And one of the things about it is the way she got the title of the book is that her younger brother had to write a report for school on birds. And he waited until the very last minute. And it was the night before the report was due. And he was sitting at the kitchen table with all these books strewn across the table and papers. And he was crying. And he was just saying, I can't do it. And their father came over to him and he said, yes, you can. Bird by bird, one bird at a time. Just do it and you will get the project done. And I always took that to heart. I taught it to my kids. To this day, my kids are 26 and 30. And, if they have a project or something that it just seems like it's too large and not manageable, they will say, I got it, Mom, bird by bird. And, and I use it kind of like a mantra, when I have an impossible task and it just seems like it's just too huge. I don't know how I'm going to get through it. I say in my head all the time, sometimes out loud, and people think I'm a little nuts, but I say bird by bird, Janet, just bird by bird. And that's how I like to think about working with someone. If you think you're going to, lose 30 pounds tomorrow or run a marathon without taking the steps to get there, it's pretty deflating. You're going to give up before you start. So it's so much better to chunk it down into manageable steps and have success, and then the next one and the next one, and you finally get to where you need to go.
Yeah, that's really terrific. I love that. What a great way of being and explaining it to people. So I love that. Thank you for sharing that. So we're starting to run out of time. So I want to put up your info again for people for contact. And then maybe while that's up, you can tell us a little bit about your blog. Is that on your website, or where can people find that?
It is. It's on my website. It's also, I post a link to it on Facebook and Instagram. But, I write all my blogs, which also helps me, again, with my voice, and getting my voice out there. But I also want people to know a little bit more about me. So whatever I'm talking about, whether it has to do with something uplifting or what's happening in life and health and nutrition advice and finding your voice advice and just, funny stories. My last one was called The Tao of Bingo, of how I spent time with my dad and being present in the moment with him and the people you appreciate. So I just hope that people can get a little more sense of who I am from the blogs.
Yeah, that's great. So they can find you on Facebook or Instagram or on your website, anywhere.
On my website, yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for being with us today. I really enjoyed hearing your story and your journey, and I just feel that you can help so many people through the work that you're doing. It's very.
Thank you so much. I really do appreciate this opportunity to be with you today, and it helps me on my journey too. And I'm really appreciating this and appreciating our connection.
Yes, same here. We'll look forward to working together. So I'm just going to put up one quick share screen with my info, and then we'll sign off. So thank you, everybody, for being here today from the Spiritual Show and Transformation Center CT. We're signing off. So thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you.